Any conversations with Jalen Ramsey this week?
No, I don't have his number. He doesn't have mine.
Hi, Jalen? Yeah, I wouldn't have done that if I were you. Okay, I gotta go. The show's starting. Welcome into Patriots Now. I'm your host, Rachel Holt. A lot of hype surrounding the Patriots-Jaguars game this week because, well, there's trash talk involved, and usually that means things are about to get pretty interesting. Back in the summer, Jags cornerback and notorious trash talker Jalen Ramsey was running his mouth, and he told ESPN, "I don't think Gronk's good. I don't think Gronk is as great as people think he is." Are we thinking of the same Gronk, the 5-time Pro Bowler, the 2-time Super Bowl champ, that Gronk? The tight end was asked about Ramsey's comments on Wednesday, and here's what he had to say.
I mean, that's how he feels. That's how he feels. I mean, it's a big game this Sunday. We're playing them. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to have opportunities to go versus him. I'm sure he's going to have opportunities to go versus me. So I'm just preparing like I always prepare. I got to just do my job out on the field and just worry about that. And
we warned you, Jalen, we wouldn't have done that. Why? Because the not that good Patriots star uses it as motivation.
Because, I mean, it motivates you, you're hearing that, you know. Obviously, there's something out there that he saw on film and stuff that I could probably get better at football in some certain categories. I mean, you don't always feel the best every single day when you're out on the field, so that's how he feels, that's how he feels.
It's going to be an emotional environment. I think everyone, whenever you play some of the best teams, you want to see where you're measured up to, and you know that defense has been ranked very high all last year, and I could see why. We practiced against them. They're very good. They got a lot of very talented players. Some of the guys that are probably the best at their position.
Jalen Ramsey may be unimpressed by Gronk, but Tom Brady feels differently. The quarterback telling WEEI he's so talented and he's the best tight end in the league. Probably the best to ever play the game. So trash talk aside, how do these two teams match up? Both come into this one with a 1-0 record. The Pats beating the Texans 27-20, and the Jags taking down the Giants 20-15 in Week 1. The last time they met, New England beat Jacksonville 24-20 in the AFC Championship game, after the Pats engineered a fourth-quarter comeback. All-time, the Pats reign supreme, boasting an 11-1 series record versus the Jags, and Tom Brady has never lost to the Jaguars with an 8-0 record against the AFC foes. Some injuries to keep your eyes on as we head into Week 2. A number of Patriots limited in practice this week. Rex Burkhead dealing with concussion symptoms. Marcus Cannon dealing with a calf injury. Nate Ebner dealing with a knee injury. Jacob Hollister missing reps with a hamstring injury, and Sony Michel dealing with a knee injury. On Jacksonville's side, the big news is Leonard Fournette missed practice both Wednesday and Thursday with a hamstring injury, so follow along closely with NESN.com for the latest on his status ahead of Sunday's game. And one of the guys that always seems to have all of the answers, Doug Kyed. Doug is at Gillette Stadium answering all of your hard-hitting questions this week in this week's mailbag. Doug, take it away.
Hello and welcome to this week's mailbag. I'm Doug Kyed. If you have a question for me, tweet at me at Doug Kyed using the hashtag MailDog, and maybe I will answer it. First question comes from Joseph Martinez, who asks, could Phillip Dorsett end up being the #1 option for Tom Brady these 4 weeks without Julian Edelman? Chris Hogan was pretty ghost last week. It's not that crazy of a thought, and Phillip Dorsett won't be Tom Brady's #1 target in the passing game. That will still be Rob Gronkowski and James White as long as they're healthy. But it's definitely not crazy to think that Phillip Dorsett could wind up being the Patriots' #1 wide receiver over these first 4 weeks. Phillip Dorsett was targeted 7 times, caught 7 passes for 66 yards. Chris Hogan definitely had a tough time getting separation, getting open. He only caught 1 pass for 11 yards. So I think that we probably will see Phillip Dorsett used a little bit more heavily moving forward. Second question comes from Tommy G, who asks, Doug, when we first traded for Cordarrelle Patterson, I read an article talking about how effective of a running back he was. He has his size, so is it possible with the new wide receiver additions we can see him a little bit at running back? I do think it's possible. And even in Patterson's first game with the Patriots, he had 3 carries and only 1 catch. The Patriots already were using him as a rushing threat. I think that he can line up in the backfield. I certainly don't think that he will be used heavily as a running back, but he definitely could take some carries away from other running backs, just kind of ease the load for them a little bit, because the Patriots running back situation is definitely in dire straits right now. Rex Burkhead dealing with a concussion. Sony Michel still limited with that knee injury. Jeremy Hill on injured reserve. That only leaves James White and Kenyon Barner at running back. Both of those guys are very undersized. The Patriots also have Kenneth Farrow and Ralph Webb on their practice squad. So if Burkhead and Michel can't play on Sunday against the Jaguars, I would expect either Webb or Farrow to come off the practice squad. But certainly we could see a little bit of Patterson getting carries out of the backfield.
Thank you, Doug. I have a question. Would you ever consider not watching the Super Bowl? I know I can't remember the last Super Bowl. I didn't watch, and I'm certainly not alone. According to Nielsen, an estimated 103.4 million people watched the Eagles beat the Patriots in Super Bowl 52. Well, we found out this week that Jaguars coach Doug Marrone wasn't one of those people, telling reporters during a conference call that he didn't watch the Super Bowl. In fact, he never watches the Super Bowl because he's, quote, usually so pissed off I can't handle it. An NFL coach not watching the Super Bowl, is that real life? Sounds like a made-up world to us. In fact, this is a good time to bring in Darren Hartwell to talk about some fantasy football.
Thanks, Rachel. There should be plenty of trash talk and juicy storylines in Patriots Jaguars this weekend, but the most intriguing fantasy angle is the status of running back Leonard Fournette, who's still dealing with a strained hamstring. Fournette didn't practice on Wednesday, so his status for Sunday is definitely in jeopardy. With that in mind, I think running back TJ Yeldon, Fournette's backup, could be a serious contributor in fantasy this week. Yeldon actually led the Jaguars in passing targets in Week 1, and if Fournette can't go, Yeldon could contribute in the run game against the Patriots defense that allowed 98 yards rushing to Lamar Miller last week. All right, so what about the Patriots? Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski reminded us all why they're still fantasy studs last weekend, so you're starting them, even against Jacksonville's fearsome defense. I'm also keeping the faith with Chris Hogan, who just had 1 catch in the season opener. He's still this team's #1 wide receiver with Julian Edelman out, and Brady's going to find him a way to get involved in this offense. But the only other Patriot I'm considering in fantasy this week is James White. The Jags have a ferocious pass rush, so I think Brady will be looking to get the ball out quickly to White, who's a great pass catcher out of the backfield. So he's a worthy start in PPR leagues. That does mean that I'm fading both Rex Burkhead and Phillip Dorsett this week. Burkhead actually was held out of practice Wednesday with a concussion. As for Dorsett, I know he had a big Week 1, but that'll be hard to match against the all-pro cornerback duo of Jalen Ramsey and AJ Bouye. I'm Darren Hartwell, and that's the Fantasy Football Minute from Foxborough.
Good stuff, Darren. How would you feel about picking up Patriots wide receiver Dez Bryant from the waiver wire? Well, he's not on the team, but the free agent is desperately trying to make this happen. Someone asking on Twitter if Dez can come back to the Cowboys. Dez tweeting, "Nah, I'm okay. I'd rather go somewhere I can showcase my skills for real. If I line up next to Gronk, Hogan, Edelman, I'm for sure getting a one-on-one matchup. Plus, I won't be getting criticized, controlled for expressing my love for the game. Washington is cool as well." As Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, or in Dez's case, 100% of the catches you could potentially make. That does it for this episode of Patriots Now. Thanks for tuning in. Game time on Sunday is set for 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time at TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. Goodbye. Go Pats.